Hi viewers, welcome to another edition of my Clinic Live. How are you today? I remain your host, Malaya Han Oputi. Thank you so much for always joining us on another edition of my Clinic Live. If you are here to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please kindly do so. Hit on the subscribe button, My Clinic TV. So today I want us to look at an interesting topic: how to disagree as couples without being disagreeable. Now, how do you disagree as couples without you being disagreeable? Now, some people believe that when you disagree with them, it means that you are personally attacking them. Now, there are some couples that they are having a discussion or a conversation, or they differ in opinion, or they differ about something, about an issue, or there is an argument, and there seems to be a different in views, different in opinion. The other party takes it personal, like, okay, because you don't agree with my view, then it means you don't accept my personality, or you don't see anything good with my person just because you don't agree with my views. Now, as couples, you need to learn how to differentiate between opinions and something that is personal. So let me let you know that as husband and wife, you, despite the fact that you both are one, you will not agree on some certain issues. There will be some issues that you will disagree on, but it doesn't mean that you should become adversaries to each other, or you should become each other's adversary, or you should see the other person as an enemy or as a foe. No, because you both are adults and you grew up from different backgrounds, you have different perspective or different perception about issues. You will have different opinions about certain things, and the fact that you're husband and wife does not mean that your opinions should be the same. Sometimes it will be different. You will share different opinions about maybe how money should be spent, about how the kids should be raised, you will share different opinions. Now, what makes it interesting is your ability to sit down and communicate and say, hey, I know this is what you think about this. This is your own opinion about this, but this is what I think. Try and look for a middle ground where you both can meet. Try and reach a compromise and say, okay, this is what he is saying, this is what I am standing on. And looking at both sides of the argument, you might be able to draw some good points from what he is saying. And if he is also listening, you might be able to draw some good point from what you are saying, and that way you both can shift ground and meet each other halfway. You need to learn to meet each other halfway, reach a compromise. Now, I want you to also know that when you are in a disagreement with your spouse, it's not a time for you to take things personal or to make it look contentious. No, you need to learn to separate issues from the person. Now, if you want to have disagreement with your partner without being disagreeable, without turning them to an enemy, then you need to know that the issues are different from the person. The person is your spouse. This is the one you love. This is the one you claim you want to spend the rest of your life with. And if lifetime is your goal in marriage, then there are some things you can't afford to be doing in that marriage, including when having an argument. There are some things you don't say. You need to set boundaries. There are some things you don't say to your partner when you're having an argument. For example, you say, oh, you don't just get it. You don't get all these simple things. Now, when you say that, you are already attacking your personality. When you begin to say things like, can't you just see it? I mean, the point is clear. When you say things like that, you are trying to bring them down. To say, oh, maybe they are not up to you intellectually. Now, try to avoid using words that will look like you are pulling down your partner, or you are attacking them, physically, or you are attacking their intellect. their emotions, because when you start to say things that they perceive as being an attack to their personality, an attack to their character or to their person, I tell you, they will revolt. It could spiral into a fight. It could lead to anger, resentment, and you don't want that. This is just an argument, and you need to have it at the back of your mind that you cannot win every argument. No, you cannot win every argument. By now, those of us who are married, by now you should have understood your spouse to an extent. That is to say, you should understand the kind of a person they are. Are they the type that get touchy when they don't have the final say, when it's like, oh, they are not winning the argument? Are they the type that becomes aggressive and abusive when it's like something is not going their way? Then you should know that during an argument, when you are beginning to sense that the way they are speaking is tending towards aggression, then you want to quickly end that conversation and change the topic so that it doesn't cost you your relationship with him or with her, or it doesn't cost you your marriage. Of what use is winning that argument if you are going to lose your spouse? In your 40 years of living together as husband and wife, in your 20 years, in your 10 years, 30, 50 years, for as long as you both live together, I tell you, you will have divergent views on some issues. And when this happens, it's not the time for both of you to become contentious or to say, oh, I've always said it, she doesn't always agree with me, we disagree about everything. No, if you're actually listening, if you're listening to yourself and to the other party, you will find out that there may be one or two points they are making, but maybe they are not just using the right words to express themselves. So you want to help out in that way. My husband does that a lot. He will say, oh, I think what I hear you saying, even though you are not using the right words, is that you are trying to say this, that. And if I feel that's not what I'm saying, I'll repeat myself and I'll say, oh, no, this is what I'm actually trying to say. You say, oh, so I see. What you are actually trying to say is this and that, and I'll say yes. Now, when he's also saying some things and I feel like, I don't think I agree with that point of view, I'll say, oh, my dear, I don't think I agree with that point of view. You know why? Because this, that, and you say, yes, I think I get your point. But what I'm also saying, you could have an argument or a disagreement I always call it in an ethical manner, in a professional manner. You can have an argument or a conversation in such a way that even though you both disagree, but you are trying to reason together. You are trying to reason together for both of you to reach a conclusion. Now, also, I need us to also make up our minds as couples that each time you sense that this argument is not going well the way you both expected or the way you both want it, you want to end the argument, and you also want to do something to fix or to redeem your relationship with your spouse. So for example, if both of you were having a nice time together, a peaceful season before an argument, and that argument suddenly has changed everybody's mood, everybody's emotion, and it's like there's a cold war in the air. Now you want to quickly end that cold war. You don't want that cold war to aggravate or extend into a malice. You don't want it to aggravate and get out of hand and extend into a malice. So you want to quickly end that cold war by going to talk to your spouse about something else. Yeah, we do that a lot, when there seems to be an argument and it doesn't end well. we quickly change the topic at times. Well, my spouse will just say, oh, so what are we having for dinner? Oh, so should we go get this for dinner? Or how else to change the topic? Oh, my love, so what about what we were planning, or where we are planning to visit, or what we plan to do? We just change the topic to something that will create the positive emotions and the positive vibes again, and in a jiffy, it's like we've forgotten that we had an argument, few minutes or an hour ago. That's how it should be. You should always try to make up for those times you feel that, oh, there is a cold war, or you guys emotion is beginning to become toxic or negative. Then you want to quickly cut it short. You have to be deliberate about it. You need to quickly cut it short and switch quickly. You switch quickly to positivity, to things that will help both of you to bond and not to separate you. You could also look forward to the night and do things together that will settle the matter. So it shouldn't be so hard to communicate with your spouse. And I always emphasize communication, because the communication is the oil of like the engine oil of marriage. There's no way you can know what your spouse is thinking. There's no way your spouse can know what you are thinking unless you communicate with them. But if your attitude always is that of a cold war, or you just ignore, you snub, you don't want to talk, you don't want to answer them, you keep quiet, you are using silence treatment on them, then it will be difficult for them to know what you're thinking. It will be difficult for them to understand you. So I want us to know that we can disagree without being disagreeable. Don't see your spouse as an adversary or as an enemy. Someone was talking to me recently, and while she was talking, she called her husband a bastard, and I was like, excuse me? I don't think it's that bad for you to be referring to your husband as a bastard. No, that means you're already seeing him as an adversary or an enemy or a stranger, and you both are living in the same house. No, you shouldn't even let the relationship get so bad to that point where you begin to see your spouse as maybe a bastard or as a nuisance. No. So you want to quickly curb those kind of things. You want to quickly switch and make sure you guys have a peaceful relationship, peaceful communication. Communicate maturely. Part of communication is listening. If you are not listening to the other person, then there is no way you both will have it good in that relationship. You need to learn to listen. You need to learn to meet each other halfway. You need to learn not to win every argument. Don't let every argument always go your way. Sometimes you say, oh, okay, no problem, I agree with what you're saying, or I accept your point. It's okay. So you change the topic. I'd like to stop here. I hope I've said a lot. Please always join us. If you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please kindly click on the subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this, or how else we can disagree without being disagreeable as couples. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. I remain your host, Malai Ano Oputi. Until we meet again, I say bye bye.